What's up guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Justin Davis and we've been online now for 10 years serving the FPV community. If you're looking to get into FPV as a beginner, this would be a great video for you, and it's going to be a 2-in-1 video today. We're going to talk about how to get started as a beginner in 2024, and we're going to give you a full review of the brand new iFlight Nazgul Eco right here on the bench. So it comes in two versions. It comes in an analog version for around $200. You can get one, bind and fly with your Boxer radio. That's the one that we suggest to start out with. It's about $130. Or you can get the HD version, which I have here, and it works with the DJI 03 system on board, records 4K video at 60 frames per second, and works with the Goggles 2 or the Integras. It will also hold a GoPro on the front, so that's pretty cool, but it's at an economic price and it's a little cheaper than some of the other ones out there with DJI FPV systems on board at $399. Now I'm gonna put a link down in this video description. You should go and watch the GepRC TinyGo 4K ready to fly bundle. That is the ultimate beginner indoor-outdoor drone to start out with. So watch that video. Get one of those GepRC TinyGos in 2024. It's still relevant. It's a 2S drone, and what's great about it is it can fly slow. You can record 4K video on board. You can fly indoors and outdoors, and you can do some mild acro freestyle. It's a great acro trainer, and acro means no stability on the drone, just flying that pure FPV freestyle style of video that you want to achieve with your 5-inch. So let's go ahead and dive deep into iFlight's brand new Nazgul Eco. A little more cost effective and pretty awesome drone for FPV freestyle. Okay guys, for your first flight with your Nazgul Eco, let's go ahead and give you some tips on flying your Nazgul Eco for the first time. You want to find a big open field and fly in angle mode to start. Angle mode gives you full stability, and here we're flying in angle mode, so if I press the sticks right or left or up or down, it's only going to tilt so far and it's not going to let me flip and roll until we go to feeling comfortable enough to fly horizon mode next. We're going to go to acro mode after that. So it'll be angle mode, horizon mode, and then finally the holy grail of FPV, which is acro mode, no stabilization, flips and rolls, and all the cool FPV freestyle stuff that you see people doing on YouTube. I'm sure you've been watching all those crazy videos. If you'd like to see more flips and rolls and crazy stuff, go ahead and skip to the next section of this video, because next part we're going to get pretty wild. I'm going to show you what this quad can actually do on 6S, full power, full throttle, and acro. So to start out, just get a feel for it. Cruise out in a big open field. Find yourself a place where there are no people around. You know there's going to be no one around, and a nice pretty day like today to start. If you have full sun, your video is going to look like this, and I swear I'm not even sure at this point you really need to have a GoPro. It's just really nice looking outside with the DJI 03. 60 frames per second looks great, but we've been wanting that for a while with these types of drones. Now the light to dark transition, I'm not a big fan of it on the DJI 03, but again, like the GoPro also has light to dark transitions as well. There's a couple flips and rolls for you, and now we're in acro. I'm gonna do some mild acro flying, and I would suggest starting out probably doing about 10 batteries before you move up from angle mode to the horizon mode. And finally, what you see here, acro. And you can see it's quite a bit more agile. The flips and rolls, you can do stalls. And there's just so many cool kind of FPV tricks that you can do. There are some wild things like split S. You can do power loops and Matty flips. I like to practice a lot of that on the simulator before I go out and really try to do a lot of that stuff. But this is a brand new quad today, and this is our first time flying it. And the 5-inch is great because it has great power and it feels a little more predictable than some of the smaller ones. I always say, like, the bigger they are, the better they fly, and it's true. They fly smoother and better. And 5-inch, it's just great because you can really still fly like close in, make small gaps, explore, and go some places with this quad. So you're probably going to get about 6.5 minutes flight time with a 6S 1300.
I never get lonely. I got got these ghosts to keep me company. I took the rear view off of this old Ford, so I only see in front of me. Now the past is out of sight and out of mind. Swore I changed, now I'm back chasing these white lines. I'm just a long-haired son of a sinner. I'm searching for new ways I can get gone. I'm a pedal to the highway. If you ever wonder why we write these songs, 'cause I'm only one drink away from the devil. I'm only one call away from home. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle. I guess I'm just a little right and wrong. These back roads got me. These pills pretend to be my friends. I'm done for the last time. I'm lying to myself again. I always say that. Now I'm on my way back here somehow. I should know by now. I'm just a long-haired son of a sinner. I'm searching for new ways I can get gone. I'm a pedal to the highway. If you ever wonder why we write these songs, 'cause I'm only one drink away from the devil. I'm only one.
All right, guys, welcome back from the flight test. That was a lot of fun. You can fly it slow, or once you work up to acro, you can fly it for practicing acro and freestyle. FPV freestyle is kind of like the holy grail of FPV, so you're on your way as you're watching this video. Now, this is the box that you get with the Nazgul Eco. This drone comes in at 461.2 grams on the scale. That's just the drone only. With the 6S 1300 battery, this is what we recommend. 661.6 grams total takeoff weight. And once you add the weight of a GoPro, this is my Hero 10, it's 814.9 grams. So you will need to register this one with the FAA. Now, when you order this drone, order yourself the ELRS version to start. And if you want to upgrade to TBS Crossfire later, I use Crossfire, and not everybody thinks that Crossfire is an upgrade. Some people say that ELRS goes just as far. And for your needs, it probably will work out just fine. They've also released some new ELRS updates, which really help you out as far as binding up the receiver. There's a little button which now works to bind the receiver to your ELRS radio, which is totally great. I've been waiting for that for years from ELRS, and finally it's here with the brand new version of ELRS firmware. So get the ELRS version, and then if you can find this radio in stock, get yourself the Radio Master Boxer ELRS version, and that will bind up to your Nazgul Eco. And if you're a guy who wants all the bling, go ahead and get yourself the Radio Master Boxer Max Edition. This is $250, but it does have really nice different color gold and blue and red anodized aluminum features all over the buttons. It has an extended kickstand in the back for laying it down, and it even has leather grips on the side. And everyone recently is asking me on the forums which goggles I prefer for the DJI O3. Do I prefer the Goggles 2, which I have here, or do I prefer the Integris? I prefer the Goggles 2 because they have a little side swipe screen right here, and if you move your finger around on the side, that navigates the menus, and you tap to make a selection or swipe up to get out of a menu. It's pretty weird at first, but since I've gotten used to it, maybe over almost 2 years now using these goggles, I feel like it's been a while, I really prefer the side panel swipe versus the plastic joystick on top that the Integris have. It just feels a little more intuitive to me, and I can make really fast selections with that side panel. So I do prefer the Goggles 2 if you're wondering which ones I prefer if you're going to go the DJI route. And I was talking to my friend Aaron yesterday about the Goggles 3. He has the Goggles 3 and the Avata 2, but right now, currently, he can't fly this drone with a DJI O3 on board because DJI, the way they are, they haven't updated the Goggles 3 to work with the DJI O3 yet. So that is kind of annoying. There's a lot of people out there with Avata 2s that would love to buy this type of drone, fly it with their Goggles 3, including me, because I also have an Avata 2, but I can't fly my Goggles 3 from DJI on the O3 system yet. That is annoying, and I hope they come out with a firmware update to fix that for the whole community. And if you're just annoyed with DJI and you don't mind going with analog FPV setup, you can do that. I also suggest that you get the SkyZone 04X goggles. They are still around $400. It's around the same price as a pair of DJI goggles, but if you don't want to have to worry about firmware updates and things like that, and you just want to plug it in and fly, analog goggles are kind of the way to go. One of the things you want to get is a regular right-hand circular polarized antenna, and you also want to get yourself a patch antenna. The Fpv Eco is a classic. It's around 8 dB, and this one works great. This is more directional, and this is an omnidirectional, so you'll have all of your different orientations covered when you're flying behind you and in front of you. And I mean, if you want to get the analog version of the Eco, that will cost you around $199 without a receiver. If you want to get it with ELRS on board, like I recommended, that's going to get you up to $215.99 plus the price of your goggles and your Boxer radio. And if you decide to go the HD route with DJI, that Nazgul DC5 that I have sitting here on the bench for 6S is going to cost you $399 for the drone and no additional receiver. If you want to bind it to the remote controller 2, you can do that. If you have that little gray controller, not the controller 3, because they still haven't updated the firmware. Keep that in mind. If you want to get ELRS on there, that will cost you $415.99 with a DJI 03 on board. Now let's just go ahead and jump into the DC5 that I have here. And why do they call it the DC5? It's because DC stands for dead cat and 5 stands for 5-inch propeller. We have 2207 motors on here. These are Zing Series 2 motors, brushless and very powerful in 6S. We'll also get a little bit longer flight time on a 6S 1400. If you want to go, I guess the biggest battery you could put on there, that would be my option there. So up front, we also have these DC arms, which dead cat style frame. It has the front extended arms, but it doesn't show the props in view when you're flying, which is super nice. So if you're recording 4K video at 60 frames per second on this camera up front, you no longer see the propellers in view because of the DC frame. I believe they also make a true X version of this frame, and those will extend the arms out in front of the camera, which you will probably see the propellers in view on the X version of the frame. So make sure you get the Nazgul DC5 Eco like I have here if you want no props in view. Now the DC5 does have a pretty low profile to it. It has that long body design like we talk about in the past on our channel, and it has all of the TPU extras on here, like the motor bumpers and the frame bumpers out here, which will protect you in a hard crash or maybe even kind of a hard landing coming to the parking lot on concrete and things like that. It will protect the bottom of the frame. We also have the TPU bumper in the front, and we have this assembly in the back for holding the 2 antennas. It'll be a single antenna if you get the analog one, but 2 antennas back here for the DJI 03, and those can come on and off. We also have a Mortal T back here and an extra spot for adding GPS. It does say on the iFlight website that you have the option to have pre-installed GPS on the Nazgul Eco series. If you click on that option, it'll be an extra, say around $45 or so. That'll bring your price up to this one for around $454. So, I mean, what's the big difference between the Nazgul DC5 Eco versus something like the Nazgul Evoke series? The Evoke series, and I reviewed this one before on the channel, the Evoke series is a little higher end. It has side skirts down the side. It has LEDs down the side. It looks pretty cool. It's got an LED on the bottom. But honestly, I don't fly with LEDs because I don't want to attract attention. These things are loud enough and noisy enough in the parks and places where you're going to fly, hopefully not around people. Go find a place that's pretty much like a big empty place that has no one around. Get in your car and drive somewhere where you know you're not going to be harassed. It's a really nice, enjoyable feeling to not worry about someone walking up behind you while you're flying and asking you if that's a drone. But this one is the simplified, stripped-down version of a Nazgul Evoke. The Evoke just has more bells and whistles on it, but this one has a lot less carbon on here, and it's even lighter than the Nazgul Evoke series. One of the things I was explaining to my friend yesterday when he was looking into getting into FPV Freestyle, the guy that had the Avata 2, Aaron, I was telling him that this also has replaceable arms on here, and if you break one arm, it's simply pull off these 3 bolts right here, pop a new arm on there, and it's ready to fly again. And like the Evoke series, we do have an iFlight logo here that gets lit up and a beeper right here. So if you lose it in the weeds, you can flip a switch on your transmitter and it will beep and you'll be able to find it. Now at the center of this Nazgul Eco's frame, you have the heart and the brain of the whole operations. This is the Blitz ATF 435 flight controller. It also has 55 amp 4-in-1 ESCs just below it. So if you burn one out or the other, you can replace one or the other and not the whole stack. There is something in our community called an AIO, and that combines both the ESCs and the flight controller into one stack, saving you some room. But the nice thing about this as a beginner is that sometimes things happen, you break one or the other, and you don't have to replace the whole entire stack. In the back here is where the DJI-03 is sitting and mounted through the bottom. There are screws holding this in place. And just above that, we have the cables coming out for our XT60 connector for your 6S battery. And we also have a receiver tray that's built right into the back assembly, just underneath this carbon top plate. And the carbon top plate itself, it's releasable by 8 screws on the very top of this frame. Now, what's funny about this drone is I was playing around with ChatGPT 4.0, the brand new version of ChatGPT yesterday, and I showed it a photo of this drone and I said, please identify this drone and tell me which one it is, because I wanted to see if it had current information off the web. And first off, it said that this drone was a custom-made FPV Freestyle drone. That was pretty funny to me, a custom-built FPV Freestyle drone. It appears that this was custom built by somebody who really knows what they're doing. And then I had to correct ChatGPT and say, no, this is actually not a custom one. Please identify this drone. And then it went on to say it was the Nazgul series from iFlight, which was impressive that it saw the details, the Zing motors, things like that. It identified, it went to the iFlight store and found it on the web, which is really neat, but also kind of hilarious that it thought that this one was a custom-built 5-inch Freestyle drone. Now, some of the DJI Mavic users and pilots are turned off by the flight time on these drones. You know, we're getting 5 to 6 to 7 minutes out of a 6S 1300 pack, but honestly, when you look at it, you can buy like 5 of these batteries and for the price of one DJI battery. A $200 battery that gets you 20 minutes, weigh the cost with that versus a bunch of these 6S batteries, and you're probably flying about the same time for less money and having more fun. So there's the fun factor goes way up when you get into 5-inch FPV Freestyle. And I don't have to talk you into it because you've seen the videos, and there's a major difference between this drone and something like the Avata 2. It's a completely different animal, and it's designed to do a different thing. But I have to tell you, it's going to be way more durable. I mean, this is designed to take a frontal hit. It has the aircraft aluminum struts side to side on the O3 camera. I also suggest running some kind of either a UV filter or a polarizer over top of your O3 camera, because if you go into crash, you don't want to break the lens on your O3 cam and have to replace it. Rather break a lens cover or maybe something like an ND filter. So I can run something small like an ND8 or a polarizer, or even something like a UV filter. So take the time and invest in that, and that's going to be about a $20 investment. That will probably end up saving you $60 to $80 if you had to replace this camera, because that is about the street price on the DJI 03 cameras. But seriously, I hope you learned something in this video today and you're taking something in consideration when you go to buy your first drone. Like I said, I think the Gep RC TinyGo, the little 2S indoor-outdoor ready-to-fly kit, is kind of a no-brainer for people that are looking to get into FPV, and it has the option to be able to record 4K on that little drone. It has a little SD card slot on it that you can put an SD card in and record indoor and outdoor videos. So it is a great value, and eventually when you start flying acro mode with no stability on board, it's kind of the holy grail of FPV. You can do it with that little drone on 2S, and it feels like you're flying a much bigger drone, which is also kind of neat. So we can talk about other techniques and things that you can do to be a better pilot on the channel. Please do subscribe on the channel and click the notification bell for when the new videos come out, because this channel Again, like, we've been around for 10 years. All the companies send us all the latest and greatest brand new drones for you to check out on the channel. You get to see it first here on the Drone Camps channel. So be sure to subscribe, and I will continue to help and foster new people into the FPV community. I'm here for you always. More tutorials, reviews, and tips and tricks coming up on the Drone Camps channel. Please stay tuned, and I will definitely see you on the next one. Take care.